All right, it's Wednesday night, and that means it's 8 p.m. and it's Eastern Standard Time, and it's time for Quick Fix Golf, where all our guys get together and gals and have a good time and get a chance to listen to other instructors and other specialists and experts in the industry. We got a good one tonight, I'll tell you that. Absolutely, positively good one. And it's brought to you tonight by Quick Fix Golf and Hook a Friend on Golf. Stick around tonight so you're going to hear more about Hook a Friend on Golf and what it's all about. There's our teaching staff.
Oh, that's you on the end, Bobby, huh?
Poor Brandon will say, what the hell did I get into here? There's Darren in my Myrtle Beach, and myself online, and we got Steve Hippert who's in Richmond, Virginia. And Darren, tell them what we want them to do.
Well, what we need you to do is get your cell phones out, and we want to see a video of your golf swing. We can help you out. We want you to play better golf now. So we'll analyze your swing absolutely free, not a penny out of your pocket. We'll send you some drills. We'll identify the major swing fault in that swing, and we'll get you going in the right direction.
And stick around tonight so you can hear more about Hook a Friend on Golf. We're starting it off right now. You can introduce your buddy to Quick Fix Golf, and you make money, support your golf habit. You don't go buy a new Learjet, but you will be able to support your golf habit, hopefully. And here's our guest this evening, Brandon Stooksbury, who currently serves as Director of Instruction and Head Golf Professional at the Idle Hour Golf Learning Center in Macon, Georgia, but he's moving. So they're going to have to change the warrant. But they'll still find Brandon.
What, did you get fired there, Brandon? What happened there? What happened? Tell us the truth.
No, just good old-fashioned relocation. No,
good for you.
New opportunity.
And you're moving.
Congratulations
golf course.
on that.
I'm going to Metairie Country Club, just outside of New Orleans.
You know what mud bugs are?
I do know what mud bugs are.
Okay,
I can't wait.
You're going to have plenty of them when you get there.
And I tell you what, I got to say thank you to you guys here for using a picture that's about 10 years old. It really makes me look a lot better, a lot less gray hair, and probably about 20 pounds less there. So I appreciate that little gesture.
Yeah, I had another picture I found online to try and use for you. It looked so bad, I just said, "No, I can't do that to the poor guy."
I believe it.
We had your mugshot as well, but we didn't, we're going to show that on there.
All right, Darren, you take it away, buddy.
So, Brandon, the putter book that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight is it's part of a series, and the wedge book was the first book that you put out there. And can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to write some books and how the series came about?
Yeah, when I originally wrote it, it was never really meant to be a series. I found myself looking for information on short game, and I couldn't find very much. And I saw really two problems out there. I saw a lot of misinformation or bad information, old wives' tales, or handed down from generation to generation, tips in short game that didn't add up to me. And when I started going to look for more information, I didn't find any. And so it kind of showed me a hole in the industry, if you will. And I had always wanted to write a book in my career. And I thought, well, maybe this is it. I was always very good at short game as a player, and I didn't really know why until I started digging in and found out I was very fortunate to have been taught the short game very differently than what most people are taught by my mentor, and started to realize some of these principles that I was sort of experiencing and didn't know about. And the more I dug, the more I realized there was a need out there for the information. And so the wedge book was born. I was incredibly fortunate that in the first week on the shelf, it became a #1 bestseller in its category on Amazon. And as of about a week ago, believe it or not, it's still #1 in its category almost 5 years later. And so I have been incredibly fortunate at the wedge book. And really the wedge book's success is what made me decide to write the putter book. When I set out to write the first one, I never thought I would write a second, but I felt like it just fit. And hopefully the putter book will have the same success as the wedge book. People seem to like it for what it is. I would tell you it's good, but I'm a little biased. And so that's the story of the wedge book.
Brandon, can I ask you one question? You got this one book you called the wedge book. The other one's the putter book. How many hours did you agonize over how you were going to come up with a title for these books? I mean, this
I
is
know,
something
it was
very
tough.
unique.
It was tough.
The
No,
Wedge book. Did you
there's
put
a
Dr.
story.
Seuss under there or something? Or what?
Yeah, well, there's a story there. So my co-writer, Matthew Rudy, who is a dear friend and a wonderful guy, he helped me with the title, and we actually sort of re-energized or brought back an old title of books that Golf Digest had produced, 50 years ago. And so I don't even remember who the original writing, or who the original authors were, but they had sort of put out a driver book, a wedge book, a putter book. And I don't recall the original author or anything, but I can't take credit for the very crafty name that I chose. Incredibly smart, witty name, the putter book and the wedge book. I can't take credit for those. But anyway, so how the titles came about.
We're going to keep your notes.
Of course, I'm trying to be funny.
No, you're doing fine. All right, Darren, go let her rip. Where's Darren? Something happened to him.
No, I'm here.
There you are.
Muted me. I'm good.
Let her rip.
So the putter book, there's not much information out there about it right now. And tell us a little bit about what's in the book. I've done a little research, and I came up with a few different topics that I thought would be in the book. A couple here that we can see on the screen. But just kind of take us through it's an instructional manual, as you would say, for the putter.
Yeah, that's right. So if you think about what an owner's manual for a TV would look like, it doesn't necessarily tell you how the TV produces a picture. Rather, it tells you how to turn it on, what the buttons look like, how the remotes work, how to use the menus, so forth and so on. The same thing for a car. It doesn't tell you how the engine works or how the engine is built. Rather, it just tells you what the lights mean and how to turn the car on and how to move the seats. And so the putter book and the wedge book are kind of the same thing. And so if you could imagine sort of a 10,000-foot view on putting, to where someone who had never really studied or never really knew anything about putting other than this is the club you use to make it roll on the ground to go in the hole, they could pick this book up, and it sort of takes you through what I call the four main skills in putting. It talks about club fitting, it talks about practice, it talks about setup. It talks about things at a 10,000-foot view. And so this is not a 400-page novel on the mechanics of a putting stroke. There is some information in there about the mechanics of a putting stroke, as you have on the screen here. But rather, it's exactly what it is. It's an owner's manual. So it's a 10,000-foot view of the club and how the club is used. The club meaning the putter, how the tool is used. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. So take us into detail. How is the putter used then? To take us from the grip and how you set up to use one.
Yeah, well, so I'll start by saying this: that there are four really skills when it comes to putting, right? And these are usually a lot different than what most people think, and they are as follows in no particular order, right? Can you control your start line, right? Can you roll the ball at the line you've intended to choose? Can you choose the right line? That's green reading. Can you control the speed of the ball? That's distance control. And can you control your mental game or attitude, right? And so if you can conquer those four skills, then you're going to be a good putter, right? And lots of things go into those skills. And so let's just take start line control, for example. Club fitting plays a role in that, starting the putt on the line you've chosen. The mechanics of the putting stroke play a role in that. Inside the mechanics, you have how you hold it, you have how you set up to it, the position of your eyes relative to the line, et cetera, et cetera. Those things go into controlling the start line. When you think about distance control, club fitting plays a role in distance control. Stroke mechanics also plays a role. Can you manage the acceleration of the putter as it moves through the strike? to know how far you're going to hit it based on the speed the putter's moving. Green reading is an interesting skill, and a lot of people call it an art. There's some art in it, but there absolutely is skill there. I am a proud Aimpoint Express certified instructor, and I believe it's the best way in the world to learn how to read greens. I might argue that it's the only way, and it's the only real system I've seen out there for how to read greens, how to figure out how to to feel the break that you see on the, that you have on the green, and then how to work on improving the skill of green reading, and then attitude is really just a mental game. I have this quote that I share with my students all the time, that confidence can't be owned or can't be earned. It has to be owned. If you are waiting to make putts before you're confident you can make putts, you're going to have a long day. Right. And so you sort of have to have this attitude that you've done it all right, so that you can putt with ultimate freedom. And so if you have those 4 skills, green reading, start line control, speed control, and the right attitude, you can be a good putter. And the book starts with those skills and expands on everything that is involved in those skills. And so that's about the best way I can say to describe it. All those things are important. I don't believe that there is a single best way to set up to the putt. You see lots of different variations out there, but I will say this: the best in the world they do 3 to 5 things very, very similarly. They all have their eyes in the right spot for them that allows them to see square. They all have their arms and elbows sort of hanging out in front of their knees. They all grip the putter shaft in a certain way, or putter, handle in a certain way, so that the shaft and the forearms are orientated correctly. They all have their weight balanced on their feet in the same ways. And so I take you through those setup principles. I take you through club fitting and what determines length, and then based on the length, what determines weight. I could go on and on and on, but that's sort of about what, that's the putter book. It's an owner's manual for your putting game.
So we're gonna pull up a picture here of me setting up to a putt. Bobby, if you could pull that up, and from a down the line view, if you could. And Brandon, just tell us kind of what at least in your mind that you're looking at when you watch me set up to a putt. There you go, perfect.
Yeah.
Take us through what goes through your brain there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call it 4 lines from this view, and then there's a 5th line from the face-on view. And so if you were to just draw a line straight down from the eyes, straight down to the golf ball, what you would see is that everybody has a place relative to their eyes where they see a straight line. Generally, that's within an inch or 2 inside or outside the ball. So my first inclination here in seeing this is your eyes might be a little bit too far inside the line. I take you through a way in the book on how you can test that on your own, and I have some equipment that I would test you for, but that would be the first line. The second line is if you drew a line right up the shaft of the putter and extend it on out your back. All right, good. So you would want to see your forearms from your elbows down to your wrists be in line with the putter shaft, and you do a pretty good job of that there. So I don't really have any issue there. If you drew a third line from the middle of the the middle of the shoulder straight down to the feet, you would see 2 things here. Number 1, you would see the elbows hanging in front of the knees, and you would see the hands hanging under the shoulders. Okay, so we're good there. And then your 4th line from the middle of your hip, kind of imagine the top of your pocket. Go a little bit more left than that. About right there, and pull that line straight down, and you'll see it gets right at the back of your heels. Right? And so anytime you see a large gap between your heel and that red line, or you see the red line touching the heel, then you know you have some balance issues. And so those are really the 4 lines, from the down the line view that I look at that dictate proper setup. And believe it or not, if you looked at the best putters in the world, 9.5 out of 10 of them would have these 4 lines in place. Now, they might grip it different. They might use a claw or a reverse claw or a left hand low, but they all have those forearms right in line with the shaft. They might have a wide stance or a narrow stance, or they might stand a little taller or bend over a little bit more, but their weight always sits right on the back of their heels. Their arms and elbows and hands hang in front of the knees, and they all have their eyes positioned pretty close to right over the ball. Now, if you'll split screen that and bring up the front view, I'll show you the 5th line. The face-on view, I should say. Yep, right there. And if you just drew a line straight up the putter shaft, that's the 5th line, right? So the best players in the world have that putter shaft very, very close to vertical at address. And so, some of them have it pushed a little more forward toward their front foot if they tend to set their weight a little more left. But usually, save a couple of outliers, you don't see a ton of forward press out there, and you don't see a ton of backward lean out there. It pretty much sets that way and returns very, very close to that at impact. And so those are the 5 lines, and I take you through that in the putting book. I've actually got an image that looks a lot like what you see on the left side there that numbers the lines and then talks about each of the lines. And so that dictates a proper setup. And again, you see lots of variants out there with styles, but those 5 lines tend to be alike in 9 to 9.5 out of 10 of the best putters on the planet.
For those who are joining in right now, this is Brandon. How do you say your last name properly?
You had it right, Stooksbury.
Stooksbury.
Yep.
It's Brandon Stooksbury in his book, the Putter Book. And Darren DeMaili and Bobby Lopez were all here talking about putting. So go right ahead, Brandon.
Darren, you also had, it's the 3rd image down there on the far right corner where you had the putter out in your left hand.
Yeah, if we could pull that up, Bobby, that would be great. Because I think that's, as you'd agree, Brandon, instrumental in getting the putter in line with your forearm. So go ahead and
yeah. So if you zoom that out, yeah. So the one thing I would say there, that's awfully close. But if you just drew a line straight across the putter shaft and stop it kind of right at your belly there.
Oh, come on, awfully close. Come on, we're the host tonight. You got to say
that. And if you drew, that's good. And then draw another line that runs right through the middle of the forearm. Start at the elbow and run it right through the middle of the forearm. See how there's a little bit of angle right there?
Right. Yeah, I didn't have any coffee this morning. I was trying to get that angle perfect for you.
If I had you
I was a little off.
If I had you on my putting green at Idle Hour or down in Metairie in a few weeks, that would be one of the first things I would do. Now, again, that's awfully close. The take-home message there is the last thing I'd want you to do is put it down in the fingers like you would hold a regular golf club. As golf
picture, Bobby, hold on one second, Randy. Show that picture of the fingers, Bobby. It's the other video, and then scroll in just a little bit.
Oh, there was another good one. Yeah, okay, let's stop right there for a second. I know you're going another direction, but if you looked at that right there, that's fabulous, right? And so if you draw a line straight on that putter shaft.
Crap, don't tell him that, Brandon. His head will blow up.
Yeah.
That's fabulous, right?
So that's crap for days.
Right there. So you actually gripped it a little bit better in that image than you did when you were just holding it with one hand.
Right.
Let me tell you why he's better with his right hand.
That's right. That's really good.
I'm right-handed.
And the thing that I would want you to avoid, as a golf instructors, we fight really hard to keep the club shaft running across the base of your fingers, right, when in a normal grip, because we want angle there. And that angle is important for the hinging and unhinging and squaring of the face. It's very much a power accumulator. Well, I don't want power accumulated putting stroke, right? I want maximum control. And so I'm trying to turn the putter head into an extension of your hand. We don't do that in a regular game.
Let me scroll through that video real quick, just a little bit on the right there, so you can see that what we're talking about, a power. Watch, I'm going to explain it right there or demonstrate it there. Here you go. Right, Brandon, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yep. That is a gigantic no-no right there. Okay, and so that's the putter shaft, or that's the grip in the fingers, which I would very much want to see in the full swing, but a huge, huge no-no in putting. It makes controlling the face really, really challenging when you have it down in your fingers. It also has an impact on speed control as well. And so those are some of the fundamentals that I sort of start with, at setup. And again, it's worth repeating. I wouldn't tell you that there's only one way to set up, but I would tell you that there are a set of fundamentals that certainly, if you can wrap your head around them, and that would be the 5 lines I'm talking about, make it very easy to control the path and face rotation in the putting stroke. And if you can control path and face, you can control your start line, and that's one of the 4 skills.
Well, that's fantastic, Brandon. I hope we didn't give too much away about the book.
No, not at all. That's only like 1 page that I just went through, so I think we're good.
Now, Brandon, what do you consider more important, 4, 5, 6 footers or 30 footers?
Well, certainly not the 30 footers.
There you go.
And so I would tell you that much outside 15 feet for the average golfer, a 2-putt's what you're looking for. And so just to put that into perspective for most folks, the PGA Tour average from 15 feet, let me say it a different way, the best putters walking the face of the earth from 15 feet average around 25%, meaning they make 1 out of 4. The best on the planet, right? And so if you think about the average golfer, they're never going to make better than 1 out of 4. They're probably going to be sitting around 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 8 from 15 feet. And so outside 15 feet, you're just trying to 2-putt and get out of there, right? That keeps you from losing shots to the course or to the field of the tournament you're playing in. The magic zone for most people is really from about 5 to 6 feet out to about 10 feet. Because those are the areas where you have a legitimate chance statistically to make a putt. It also ends up being the area where you have the most putts when you consider short game, right? And so if you take a normal 15 handicap, for example, they're going to leave a lot of chips and pitches in that 6 to 10 foot range from the hole. Much inside 6 feet, even bad putters tend to have reasonably high statistics for the number of putts they make. So there's not a ton of room to gain working on 3-footers. I mean, I know that seems a little odd because you hear that drill all the time. You hit 100 3-footers and you don't leave till you hit them. Yeah, I'm not sure that has a ton of value because your odds of making 3-footers are high no matter your handicap level. Your magic zone is that 6 to 10, 6 to 12 feet range. That's where you need to spend a ton of time getting better.
All right, cool. Can you give us a insight into some drills or a way that some of our listeners can practice?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I would tell you when you practice is you have to make sure that every attempt or every putt you hit has a new set of challenges. Okay. So I'm going to answer your question by giving you the worst way in the world to practice. Okay.
Uh-oh.
The worst way in the world to practice is to take a sleeve of balls and throw 3 balls down and hit the same putt 3 times and then go get it and then hit the next putt 3 times from a different place. Right. And let me tell you why, because there's sort of a learning loop that happens, if you will, on every single putt. Conceptually, we have to wrap our brains around how we need to tackle that challenge: speed control, start line control, green reading. Okay. Then we actually have to execute that. Okay. And then we have to kind of evaluate our results. Well, the problem is if you drop down 3 balls, you do all 3 of those phases on the first time you hit it. The second time and any time after that, you don't do the first 2 steps anymore. You already know the concept, right? And you already know the execution. you know you have to hit it X hard and play Y amount of break because you figured that out on the first attempt. So really the second and following reps have very little value in terms of building skill when you do it that way. And so that's the worst way in the world to practice. So you can do lots of drills. Just think about basic drills like the around the world drill, right? Or the some people call it the north, south, east, west drill, right? Where you set up, whether it's a 5-footer or a 6-footer or a 10-footer, and you do one north, one south, one east, one west. And you could do your corners, right? And you're moving around the hole. Every single one of those putts has a different challenge, right? You have to aim it a different way. You have to you have to read the green a different way because it's a different putt. Ladder drills work really well. What I mean by that is if you take a tee and you put it at 10 feet and then 13 feet and then 16, 19, 23, 26, 29, 32, right, away from the hole, and you try to hit putts to where you stop it in a 2 or a 3 foot box around the hole from 15 feet and then move back to 18 feet and then move back to 21 feet and work your way up and down the ladder. Those are really good distance control drills. The take home message to any of that practice is that every single rep is unique in some way and has a different set of challenge to it than the rep you just did before it and the one that will come after it. And that way you're always working on all those skills on every single putt. So practice is a hard one to answer because practice drills are challenging to explain verbally, but that's the take home message. You really can't mess up how you do it. You can make up whatever kind of drill or game you want. Just make sure every rep is unique.
So you're basically teaching intuition.
Well, yes, but yes, you could say it that way, but most people, let me say it a different way. I would argue that nobody's born with intuition. Intuition is gained through experience.
Right.
Okay. And so, if something's intuitive, it doesn't mean that you just woke up one day and you knew it. It means that you've made enough mistakes and done enough things right to know that that's the best way. Right. And so, yeah, I think you could say it that way. You're building intuition. You're polishing, you're developing your skill set because every single rep has a different demand on those skills. So, yeah, that's what you got to remember when it comes to practice.
Here's the drill I used to do, Brandon. Everybody used to laugh at me. I'd have like a 2. Right here is where the balls are. I would look weird because instead of having a circle, I'd have one ball at 2 feet. I'd have one at 6. I'd have one at 4. I have one at 8. I have one at 5. I have one. They were all different distance from the hole. So as I went around the hole and putted each ball, I had a different putt every time.
That's fabulous, right? There's another good one out there. It's called either the hurricane or the cyclone drill, right? And so you would move around the hole in a circle, but the first ball would be at 4 feet. The second one would be at 8 feet. The second one would be at 12 feet. That's right. So if you look down on it from above, it would look like a hurricane, right? It would look like a spinning hurricane. And so that's another really good one. Again, the take-home message there is every rep is unique. That's what you got to remember.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. Should we open up the phone lines?
Let's open it up. See if anybody's got any questions.
Let's see if we can get they're able to open their phone lines here, right here, so they know also right here from the cursor side. Where do you get a hold of Brandon? And it's right here, StooksburyGolf.com. There's his website. I guess where would they get the book, Brandon? Would they go on?
Yeah, so the book is available on Amazon, and so it just came out. I mean, it's been for sale for less than 3 days, and so you just have to search Stooksbury and then Putter Book on Amazon, and it will come right up. And likely, if you find the Putter Book, you'll also find the Wedge Book. But everything's available on Amazon, both in Kindle, digital, as well as paperback.
and which you so eloquently wrote. Mitch is a dour, smiling
All right, we
political
have any questions? Anyone any
Who
Who does
questions for
consider
Brandon?
the best putters for men and women?
I'm sorry. Say that
Sorry, I had to
again.
mute that microphone. The question was, what do you consider? Who does Brandon consider the best putters, men or women? Well, you know that's from a female.
Well, I won't give you my opinion.
Careful with that one.
That's
Hey,
right.
Bobby, I said men and women. I wasn't trying to make it men or women.
Well, let me tell you something. You got to watch out today because it could be men,
You
women,
never know.
or some
Or
others.
the other.
Unspecified individual that can use either bathroom.
No, I was just wondering who Brandon considers, like the best putters on the men's and the women's tour. So who to watch.
Yeah. So usually the list doesn't change a whole lot, even though their world rankings may change a lot. But on the men's tours, Luke Donald is always at the top of the list, or pretty close to the top of the list. Brad Faxon in his day, Lauren Roberts in his day, were really, really good. And so those guys, Justin Rose tends to be a pretty darn good putter week in and week out. On the ladies tour, you have, Danielle Kang is usually up there, pretty high week in and week out. A lot of names I can't pronounce. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but
It's Martinez. Martinez.
They get a little challenging. Angela Stanford is usually a really good putter. Jessica Korda is also a really good putter. And so those are names that you see perennially year in and year out. Steve Stricker is a really good putter. Year in and year out, those names tend to rise to the top. Now you get some people that get really hot, certain weeks. You get others that get really hot certain seasons, and then they sort of, roller coaster back down. But usually those are names you'll see at the top every year.
Any other questions?
Brandon, among your students.
Is that Larry?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay, Brandon, I was going to ask, among your students, do you find that there's a correlation in skill with the short game, pitching, and putting? Or in other words, are good short game players also good putters?
No. I would generally tell you that those two skills do not always go together. Some of the pieces work off each other, meaning if someone typically has really good feel in their hands, then they might have good distance control in chipping and in putting. But no, I would tell you as a general rule, you don't see a lot of overlap there. There are lots of people that could be, pretty decent wedge players and terrible putters.
Yeah,
And
Victor Hovland comes to mind. He's terrible chipping. Terrible.
Yeah.
He can't chip the ball to save his life. He's hoping he hits it in a bunker.
Yeah. You see that a lot. So no, I would say one doesn't guarantee the other.
Great answer. Yeah.
Hey, Brandon.
What about using
this Todd Henby?
Go ahead, Todd.
What can an amateur gain from a putting stroke like Brandt Snedeker's with his pop stroke?
Yeah, so what can they gain? I don't know that I would answer it that way. What I would tell you is that speed control is all about being able to manage acceleration of the putter head. Some people have faster tempos. Other people have slower tempos. Just like if I go, on a walk with my wife, she has to stop every 5 minutes and wait on me because she walks faster than I do. If I try to walk at her speed, I'm uncomfortable. If she tries to walk at my speed, she's uncomfortable. So I think what you see in Brandt Snedeker is you see a guy who has a very fast tempo, and very fast tempos tend to look like pop strokes. You see other folks out there that have very soft and slow and flowy tempos, you know, like a Phil Mickelson or a Justin Rose. They tend to have longer, flowier, even Tiger, you know, it used to be that way, not so much anymore. But, and so I don't know that there's a lot to gain from that unless you are someone who is a faster tempo putter. So I hope that makes some sense. You know, it tends to get labeled because it has a different look than everybody. And I would just tell you, I don't know Brandt Snedeker, but I would guess that if you were around Brandt Snedeker, that would be his personality. He would likely talk fast or move fast, or, you know, or you know, that's just who he is. I don't know that for sure, but I would surmise that looking at his putting stroke.
Anybody else before we call it a night?
One quick one. What do you think about Arnie? What do you think about Arnie Palmer's method of keeping his knees together when he's putting? What kind of advantage is he looking for there, do you think?
He's just trying to quiet the lower body. You know, in a mechanically accurate or mechanically correct putting stroke, you wouldn't see really any lower body moved at all. We do that in the full swing for speed control or for speed production, and we do it to support a longer motion. Neither of those you need in a putting stroke. You don't need it to be long, and you don't need it to be fast. And so certainly not fast like you need an iron or a driver swing to be fast. And so, you know, I think Arnie was just looking to quiet his lower body. I'm sure he felt like it gave him more stability and gave him the ability to control his lower body and keep it quiet.
Brandon, you're the greatest, buddy. We really appreciate you coming out. We got some great stuff out of you tonight.
Hey, well, don't call me.
Hey, Bobby.
I
had a
Go ahead.
question. Did you mention something about the grip being different? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you might have to elaborate on your question. What do you mean the grip being different?
In the palms.
Not being the same.
I thought you said that you grip the club differently. Maybe I misunderstood you.
Oh, you did misunderstand me. What I was talking about was that in the full swing, the grip should lay at an angle across your hand, across the base of your fingers. So it sort of angles from the middle of your index finger down to the base of your pinky finger. Guys, is it possible to bring that slide back up?
For you?
Do that? If it is, that might help her see that. And so, yeah, so on the right. So if you just wheel that video.
There we are. Is that the one you want?
No, the one with when I have two hands on it.
With two hands.
Two hands.
In a putting stroke, you would want that just like you see there on the right.
There you go.
This one?
Now scroll down a little bit. Yep. No, you had it.
I had it?
Yep.
This one?
Yeah, now you got to scroll down. Play the video a little bit. Toggle. There you go.
So when he puts it across at an angle across his fingers, so you can see there's angle there created. So he slipped the grip down into the base of his fingers. You can see the pinky on his finger on his left hand there. The club sitting right in the base of it. That's very much a full swing grip. In a putting grip, now go back to split screen for me if you would, and let's grab that video of him just holding it in his left hand.
Oh, boy, there it is.
All right, perfect, right there. So whoever asked me that question, I hope you're still looking at this, because if you see the grip right on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the black rubber of the grip right against the base of his pinky finger. And on the right side of the screen, you can see that big gaping hole under the grip, right, and the base of his pinky. And that's anatomically correct for what you would want to see, because the putter shaft or the grip has changed angle across his hand. So I hope that's answering the question of what is different in the grip. That's what I meant. Full swing grips are angled across your fingers and held in the fingers. A proper putting grip is in line with the lifeline of your palm, and you're very much holding it in the middle of the palm instead of the fingers. Does that answer your question?
Now, Brandon,
Yes.
what about these guys like the Bernhard Langer kind of effect before you had the big putter? Is putting it up against your forearm and holding it up against the forearm itself, the butt of the golf club. I think that should be against the rules, but that's
well. What's interesting about that is it's funny you say that, because in my opinion, that is way more of an advantage than ever anchoring the putter.
exactly.
And so, you know, if we're going to outlaw anchoring, then I agree with you. That probably should be outlawed at all as well. Although, let me go on record and say that was a terrible idea, in my opinion, to outlaw any of that, because all that did was hurt the amateur golfer, instead of the professional golfer. But that's a story for another day. That's a really, really good way to putt. You have to have a certain type of putter to putt that way. And so that a putter used in that manner has to have close to 7 to 8 degrees of loft. A normal putter will have 3 or 4 degrees. And so you almost have to double the amount of loft that's on the putter. And it's more than you can just do bending an existing putter. Those putters have to be weighted a certain way, and they have to be built a certain way to have the right amount of loft. And so that's the unfortunate thing about putting that way. As much of an advantage as it is, it's called the arm lock style. You have to have a very unique putter in order to be able to do that. There's only
one of those old ping putters, one of those old ping answer putters. They're about 7 degrees loft.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The problem with those is they're going to be way too light. Because of all that extra length and extra weight that piece of shaft. Those putters are usually somewhere between 40 and 42 inches versus a normal putter that's, around 34 inches. So you're talking about another 8 to 10 inches of grip and shaft, and that gets really heavy. And so those putters have to be built a certain way, and there's only a couple manufacturers that are doing it. And so it's good to try, especially for someone who has a problem with being too handsy in their putting stroke. That'll get rid of your hands in a New York minute. You just got to have the right putter.
Anything else, Darren?
No, I think that's great. We're so appreciative, Brandon, for you coming on. And I know the book is brand new, and we'd love to have everyone purchase the book. If down the road you can give us any kind of discount code to let some of our listeners jump in there at a little bit of a discount, we would love to have it.
That's hard to do.
I started to say that the only problem with that is Amazon doesn't let me use a discount or offer a discount code. I would if I could. I've thought about doing some the ability to buy it for me direct from my website and then fulfill it on my own, but I hadn't gotten there yet. I can promise you that if the day comes when I offer it that way, I'll certainly provide a discount code without any trouble at all.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Brandon.
Guys, thanks so much. This was a ton of fun. Folks out there listening, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Just write to my website, fill out a contact form. Let me know that you heard, that you have a question relative to what you heard. I'd love to have you, buy the book and read the book. That'd be awesome. And if you do, thank you in advance. It's been really fun putting it together. It's been really fun, sharing my knowledge with my students and seeing their putting strokes improve. And I hope I put a little bit of that in the book when I wrote it.
You the man.
Thanks so much,
Brandon.
guys. Really, I had a ton of fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Absolutely. Great session.
Don't forget, next
Thank you very much.
we'll be on again
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you, Brandon.
You got it.
Thanks, guys.
Very informative.